So indie game fans, the shoot 'em up is an arcade classic genre which has lived on in indie games, so here are 10 fantastic titles to check out. This list will exclude titles in early access like The Void Rains Upon Her Heart, and I'm not too into the Toho scene so I cannot comment on those. We kick off the list with Jets and Guns 2, newly released out of early access this year and being the sequel to a game from 2014. This is your classic example of a hectic horizontal shooter with way too much going on, but if you're into the genre, it should be right up your alley. There are RPG elements in weapon customization and upgrade options, a nice amount of secrets and fantastic boss fights as well, so it's a no-brainer pick. Another underrated indie title from this year is Project Starship X, a roguelite shoot 'em up with a twist since you can actively crash into enemies as a viable strategy. I do like the vibes of this game, from the soundtrack, pixel art and character designs, including Cthulhu with swag, so it's quite a neat package. Fun upgrades which always work well with the roguelike structure and feels pretty great to play, making this a hidden gem. I always think that Graze mechanics, where you get rewarded for projectiles barely hitting you, is a neat risk-reward system, even extending to games like Toho Lunar Nights, and a title which uses it in this space is Graze Counter. I mean, it's literally in the title, but it's a fantastic looking vertical shooter where grazing bullets charges up your gauge, which, when full, can be used to unleash a powerful counter-attack which clears enemy bullets. Additionally, collected stars will fill out another meter which can trigger break mode, which makes you do more damage, and all of these factor into score multipliers as well. There are 8 available ships with different specialties and control feel, so there is variety, with some nice old school pixel art as well. Polish studio Infinite Dreams has been around for quite a bit of time, with Skyforce Anniversary being a must-play title which I have recommended picking up during one of those Steam sales. It's a classic vertical shooter which looks good for a game from 2015, supporting co-op with fun upgrades, and is simply a great one of these. Steredenn is an interesting entry since while it released in 2015, they did put out the free Binary Stars update in 2018, which is the definitive edition of this game. It does have roguelite elements, where the enemy waves, bosses selection and even upgrades available to you are randomized, so it does fall on the more difficult side of things, coming down to skill and reaction rather than memorization. However, there are a variety of ships, fun, innovative weapons, and gorgeous pixel art, so of course I'm in, with fantastic feeling action and once again, co-op support. Definitely better with friends and things can get quite chaotic, so while it may feel a little unfair initially, do give this some time. Japanese people sure know their shoot 'em ups with a whole bunch of fantastic titles coming from there, with Crimzon, Clover, World Ignition being of interest. This was initially released on PC in 2011, with this edition coming to Steam in 2014, and most recently, World Explosion on Switch in 2020, and all are variants of this arcade shooter. There are 3 types of ships here, differentiating in how they control, with the same awesome screen-filling nonsense that this genre is known for. Similar to Graze Counter above, there is a brick gauge which increases your firepower and grants you some invincibility, so that feeds into the action, and as always, expect to see a ton of projectiles and numbers everywhere in this game. An awesome entry from 2018 is ZeroRanger, a game which uses an intentionally limited color palette which gives it a very unique look. What was quite a straightforward title in terms of gameplay, add to that the gorgeous pixel art and awesome soundtrack, and you have got yourself a pretty awesome game. Additionally, there is, interestingly enough, a meta story around all of this which is worth experiencing, with someone on Steam describing it as the Undertale of shoot 'em ups, so if that intrigues you, do look into this game. Okay, this will be a strange one since while I do love Devil Engine, I cannot recommend that you buy it right now, so stick around and I'll explain why. This game released in 2019 and I was fairly positive on it then, being a very fast and very challenging entry, so what's the deal? Well, apparently this developer is getting screwed over by their then publisher, think Pixel, Cave Story and Nicalis for example, being owed money and not being given access to the store page, and to this date has still not been resolved. It's a shame since there is an expanded version named Devil Engine Ignition which seems ready to go but is waiting for the legal stuff to clear up, so keep an eye on this and follow the developer's Twitter account for more news. The original Jamestown was one which I enjoyed thoroughly, giving me another memorable gaming memory since the action feels great, the pixel art awesome, and the whole theme and setting being fantastic as well, and this released the enhanced edition Jamestown Plus last year. I like the 17th century colonial Mars setting with somewhat of a steampunk vibe as well, where the enhanced edition added 2 new levels, new ships, quality of life improvements, tweaks to the art and remastered sound as well, and is available on all modern platforms except Xbox, so pick it up if you have not. I do have to give a very special mention to As the Breed Definitive Edition, a title which is neither a horizontal or vertical shoot 'em up, but rather both of them at the same time, and even has a behind the back camera. It's very anime, having you piloting Gundam-like mechs to take out your enemies, fighting against an ancient mechanical alien race.
大丈夫大丈夫俺を信じろって。
ルーキスはいわば現実を書き換える装置なの。何このブサイ。
塩らしいこと言ってんじゃねえ。弾が通らなきゃぶった切れ。僕の
There's the usual screen-filling projectiles and visual effects, some pretty good voice acting, and a real cool aesthetic, so of course it's a no-brainer. Also of note is that this is from developer Edelweiss, whose most recent game is Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, so you can see the game development chops that this team has, taking the #1 spot. To see more of the big picture, check out these awesome videos, and I will see you after the jump.